Here on First Things First with Greg Jennings. So the Philadelphia Eagles shocked everyone by drafting Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts in the second round. I say shocked because they already have a quarterback who they already paid in Carson Wentz. The move prompted head coach Doug Peterson to say this: "When I spoke to Carson, I wanted him to understand we value the quarterback position extremely high. I wanted him to know he's our starter, he's the face of the Eagles, he's our franchise. He's the guy who's hopefully going to take us back to the Super Bowl." Nick, are you buying Doug Peterson's reassurance?
Well, this is weird because I like Carson Wentz a lot. I like the idea of Jalen Hurts. I love Doug Peterson. I think he's one of the most forward-thinking coaches in the NFL. But one thing Doug has always struggled with is messaging. I don't know, he doesn't always get his words exactly right. And this is one of those situations where I think he would have been in far better shape saying nothing than saying what he did. Because I don't think anyone thought when they drafted Jalen Hurts, oh, Carson Wentz is on the clock. Oh, clearly they drafted Jalen Hurts to replace Carson Wentz, who 9 months ago they gave a record-breaking extension to. So why say this? To use an anecdote, a lot of the viewers of FS1, first time, in fact, all the viewers of FS1, first time they ever saw me was when I was filling in for Colin Cowherd. Everyone knew that I was only there for when Colin was sick or on vacation. But if a week after they hired me, they sent out a press release, we want to make this very clear. Nick Wright is not here to replace Colin Cowherd. All of a sudden, people will be like, wait, what? Well, I didn't think he was, but maybe he is. So I don't know why they felt the need to say this, Wilds. Like, to me, this is Carson Wentz's team. Jalen Hurts is there to supplement that and to help out if Carson gets hurt or to help out on some of the trick plays, two-point conversions Philly likes so much. But I don't think this statement needed to be said, Kevin.
I like the statement that the Eagles, that Yahoo reported that they would use Jalen Hurts as Taysom Hill on steroids. I thought that was perfect because then you're like, great, we have maybe a backup quarterback who you love so much, Nick, and we just have a crazy gadget guy who can do a ton of things. I was talking about our producer, Katanik. I said, Katanik, here's where I'm at in my quarantine phase. I'm looking at buying a Honda Z50. It's a small motorcycle that I can zip around the neighborhood in. Why? I have no idea. I can barely change my windshield wipers, but now I want to rebuild a bike. Not because it's going to replace the Jeep, just because it will be fun. And if we could throw up the graphic, Doug Peterson likes to have fun. The guy leads the league in fourth down attempts. He leads the league in two-point attempts, and he leads the league in two-point conversions. So, hey, he could have come out, Nick, and said, Jalen's our guy. Carson's our guy. Jalen's kind of like our fun guy, and maybe eventually we'll have him as a backup. But, Jenna, I think it's a great move. I'm happy that Jalen's on the team, and I think it's just a fun addition to the Eagles.
Well, listen, Nick, you said Jalen Hurts is there, you know, if Carson Wentz gets hurt. Greg, Carson Wentz gets hurt. That's what he's done. That's what he does. I don't know. Do you buy Doug Peterson's reassurance?
Yeah, I buy it. To Nick's point, it didn't need to be said, but, you know, something always feels good when it is said publicly and specifically to the individual. So I'm positive that Carson Wentz appreciated it. However, we know the track record that Carson Wentz has, and that's him being injured. We also realize that their only Super Bowl that they've won with Carson Wentz being on the team was with him not under center. It was Nick Foles. So they've been in a position where Carson Wentz has been spectacular and then gone down to injury, and they had to rely on their second quarterback, who was Nick Foles, who still got the job done. If you listen, there was an interview that Howie Roseman did, and he talked about their philosophy with quarterback, and he talked about them not allowing one position, whether it be offensive lineman, quarterback, whatever that position is, to derail them in achieving and accomplishing their goal. I love this philosophy. I love this mentality. no receiver or no running back or no any other position on the team would feel like, what? They just took another running back? What? They took another wide receiver? I never once felt like that every time the Green Bay Packers drafted a receiver, because I understood it was for the betterment of the team. So when you look at these teams that decide to do what the Philadelphia Eagles has done and then say to their quarterback, you're still our guy, it's like, look, relax. You know you're our guy. We want to make sure everyone knows you're our guy, just in case they forgot we just gave you this contract extension. But we also want to ensure that if anything were to happen to you, which we hope does not happen, we are still going to accomplish the goals that we set out. I love it.
I understand that, but Nick, let me ask you this. I think something like that could give a guy like Carson Wentz a bit of a complex. There's a statue of the guy that basically went in there when he was injured and won a Super Bowl outside the stadium there. Doug Peterson has to come out and be like, you're our guy, you're the man, you're the franchise, but we drafted another quarterback. I don't know, between that and what happened with Nick Foles, you don't think a guy like Carson Wentz can get a little bit of a complex? Maybe that affects him going into the season?
Well, if it affects him, then he's not the guy I think he is. Like, this is, I put this in the same bucket as the media distraction. I mean, the idea that these pro athletes are so emotionally and mentally fragile that anything that upsets the homeostasis, they're not going to be able to handle, I just reject, as certainly not for the guys who I think can be league MVP caliber talents, such as Carson Wentz. And I just think this is being viewed through the wrong prism. Now, I was skeptical on Jalen Hurts as an everyday starting quarterback in this league, and I still am, which is why I think Philly is such a great spot for him. They have a solidified, young, under-contract franchise quarterback, and they will use Jalen in other ways, and then he can be break glass in case of emergency, in case Carson gets hurt. And I'm going to have a gratuitous name drop here. I apologize. But I talked with Lil Wayne, who is Jalen Hurts' agent,
Lil Wayne.
The moment after this pick came in. No, he's represented by Lil Wayne. And about why this is such a good fit. And while it's exactly what you said, it's because of the way Doug Peterson tries to use the whole 53-man roster on game day. It's because of the fourth down attempts. It's because of the two-point conversion attempt. So I know Jalen and his representation feel like they are in the perfect spot. And it's not because they think they're going to unseat Carson Wentz. So I don't think Carson Wentz should be concerned that, oh, they drafted a backup. Every team needs a backup, even teams who don't run two-point conversions and whose quarterback doesn't seemingly get hurt once a year. So Wilds, to me, it makes perfect sense, and I'm not worried that Carson Wentz is going to have some inferiority complex about it, Wilds.
No, I agree with you. And first of all, to address your name drop, I got a very important piece of advice from Robert De Niro, and he said, never name drop. So you can just take that and file that one away, Nick. I also think just as far as the dynamic between quarterbacks goes, I feel like they're already off to like a great footing. Carson Wentz tweeted at Jalen, "Welcome to the best football city in America." Jalen Hurts tweets right back, "So excited to get to learn from you in Philly. Let's go to work." Greg, Jalen Hurts, by all accounts, is just a wonderful, wonderful guy. We saw him lose his starting job and be great with Tua and be the ultimate teammate. To me, it should be no issue in Philadelphia that Jalen is just going to be the paramount teammate to Carson Wentz and help support him and learn from him.
I agree. I love the situation for Jalen Hurts. I love the situation for Carson Wentz because he's going to be pushed, but he's going to be the leader in that locker room and in that quarterback room to help guide and to help bring back another championship to Philly. And if you look across the league, how many opportunities do these guys behind the starting quarterback get? They get quite a bit. And how often do we see them fail? How often do we see teams not prepared for their starting quarterback to go down? and it ruins what they thought they were going to accomplish in the year. Look at the Green Bay Packers, and everyone wants